Hey everyone, it's Dr. H, your friendly wargame guy at the Air Command Staff and College, and we're going to talk a little bit about naval control. Um, Naval control makes it easier or harder for you to move into naval areas when naval movement comes, which we're going to talk about in a separate video. But during the air naval phase, we're going to determine control of all sea zones, or at least a large number of them. Note that it can be under blue control, red control, or it can be under no control. And these are all perfectly viable options. So keep that in mind as we go through. This example is going to use the Pacific. There are little nuances in the Poland and Iran theaters. We'll talk about those as they come up and as needed on any videos that are dedicated to those. Specifically, this general rule should cover you in all cases, though there may be nuances and changes for your theater, so pay attention to that as we come along. Okay, so the sequence of play calls for us to check for control of inshore boxes when the sea area around it is controlled, and the inshore box is not controlled by the side that controls the sea box. Okay, what does that mean? So that means if nobody controls a sea zone when we're checking for these things, we don't check for the inshore box. If the same side controls the at sea box and the inshore box, we don't check for the inshore box. We only check when there's a mismatch between who controls the sea box and who controls the inshore box. So we have one here, right? The Taiwan Strait, the big box is controlled by China, right? We can see from the Chinese control marker. And the inshore box is currently contested. Nobody controls it. So we're going to check for that. We're going to check and see. Now, if trying to control both the Taiwan Straits and the Taiwan inshore box, we wouldn't check. Right? And over here, right, South China Sea, we're not going to check for the paracels because nobody controls the South China Sea, right? The South China Sea is currently contested in terms of who controls it. So we're going to check for the inshore boxes that are eligible to be checked, and then we're going to check for every single sea box. Right, so all the big sea boxes we're going to check for control over. Right, so we would check, starting at the Celebi Sea, Spratly Island, South China Sea, Gulf of Tonkin, etc., etc., etc. Now, to do that, we would use the chart over here marked Sea Control. Note that, obviously, you're not going to be rolling, right? This is part of the adjudication. But understand what increases your chances, and what doesn't, and what increases your chances, and what weakens your chances. So, for example, control, if you're rolling for an inshore box, you want to control the sea box. It's going to help. Having naval units present helps you control those boxes. China can spend cruise missile points in all of the dark red boxes, right? So it can spend a cruise missile point to influence sea control in the central approaches, or the Taiwan Strait, so on and so forth. And there are a variety of other things that you can do to affect sea control. So take a look. We're not going to go through each piece, right? But take a look at these DRMs, right? Hold on, my computer seems to think I should restart. I'm not ready to restart. Right? Certain sea zones are just more likely to be under blue or red control, and that's fine. And what we're going to ultimately do for every one of these is we're going to roll a die, apply the DRMs, we're going to read this chart, right? Lower helps push the sea into PRC control, higher helps the allies, right? So positive modifiers will help the allies, negative modifiers will help the red side. Note that one of the things that you may be asked to check is the ASW value and the sub-threat level, right? These abstractly represent a variety of assets present around that we're not keeping that close of a track on. That's fine. This is information that will be given to you as scenario startup, so you'll set them, and that'll pretty much govern you for the entire time, right? So those will modify who controls what sea zones, and then you just mark it, right? So looks like, so trying to control the sea zone, you'll see this one. You'll put a nice American flag or blue flag down for blue controls the sea zone. And then once you are done with determining sea, who controls which sea zone, again over here on the sea control chart, there we go. Grab that, right? Sea control chart. Then we're going to move to naval detection. Naval detection is actually printed on the naval chart, right? So it is, there we go. So we have naval detection, and we're going to roll on this chart to detect every naval unit in the area. So for example, the Chinese want to detect this very sexy French carrier strike group that's hanging out in the central approaches, very far from France, but that's okay. They will roll on the naval detection chart. There are modifiers. Keep in mind, right, this radar screen also provides modifiers. You'll run through here and you'll roll and you'll get a naval detection result. Again, we're not rolling, right? The adjudicator is going to do this rolling for us. That's fine. But you can receive no detection, and if it's not detected, you can't detect it. Area detection, so you kind of know where it is, which will make it harder to strike. Or point detection, you know exactly where it is, which will make it easier to conduct a strike against the naval vessel when the time comes. But that's your air naval phase, right? We're going to check to see which inshore boxes need to be checked for control of. We're going to check for control of it using our sea control table. We're going to check for control of all of these sea zones, right? We can have red control, blue control, or it can be contested. All of those are options. Once we have rolled for detection, we're going to correction. Once we have rolled control, we'll roll for detection of all the naval pieces on the board, right? So we're going to check for detection of all of those. That's printed over here. So take a look at the modifiers, right, to see which numbers you want to roll. Roll a good number. You can be point detected, you can be area detected, or not detected. So take a look over here. Take a look at the modifiers on your sea control chart, which will help you understand modifiers to sea control. Don't forget, if you're China, don't forget about your cruise missiles to affect sea control as well. So anyway, that is a quick overview of determining sea control in the air naval phase and doing detection in the air naval phase. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thanks for paying attention.